Hi, good morning. Nice save, whoever's muting their tab.
That was me.
Good job. Welcome, everybody.
So I can type.
Welcome, everybody, to the Coffee Table Talks. Today, we're going to do some threat intel with Meagan Burke. Or we're going to talk about it at least, one or the other. Which is so fun, because threat intel people are usually like, I don't know how to talk to people.
I don't want to talk to people.
This has never been okay. It's never okay. That's it. Except for Levi.
No, Levy's grumpy this morning.
No. How can you be grumpy when you're wearing an ice cream hat? It's impossible.
So chill.
Not okay. It's
not to mention my co-host is here.
That too. Yes. Can you introduce everybody?
Look at this baby. How can you be grumpy with this baby?
You've got to, you know what, though? You've got to also share names, right? Introduce everybody.
What?
Introduce everybody to your co-host.
Oh, okay. So this is my co-host. This is Harley. If you come to any of my streams, you're going to see her because that's a favorite spot to be. And if you hold her like a baby, she goes to sleep.
I love it. And if you guys ever want to go check out Levy's streams, there they are. Bam. I have a linky thing.
It's a linky thing.
/Levitanin.
Levitanin.
I'm so bad at this. I just really am. I tell people all the time. I'm like, I'm not a professional live streamer. I really like to hang out with cool people and talk to them a lot. Because basically, and I see everybody in the chat. Hi, Maggie, Alexis, Gabriel, Jonathan, Uni said hi, Harley.
Everybody loves you.
And Nick and Ben. Hey guys, how's it
going? You see in this corner right behind me, and I move my arm. That is the other co-host. That's Nymeria.
No. So for everybody who's just joining for the first time ever, hi, welcome. This is unscripted. We do it. We shoot from the hip because we like to make things up as we go. Super fun. Look, I'm going to move Meagan right here live. Bam. so sneaky. So joining me as always, hi, I'm Rachel Arnold, the Human API. This is Will McCullen. He is the program manager for the IT Center for Excellence at PIMA Community College in partnership with the Arizona Cyber Warfare Range.
Wow.
Look at you, the one part that is scripted.
It's not. I've just really practiced it a lot.
That counts as being scripted.
And we pulled Levy out of the dark web. That's how that works.
It's the limited time, though, so I got to get back.
And Meagan is part of the fabulous team over at Flashpoint. Hi. But got your start where? Where did you get started in all of your threat intelligence fantastic gathering of information and things that no one else wants to know about? I don't know. A lot of people are so scared of threat intelligence. You know what I mean? They're like,
we're very scary people.
But it's so fun.
We're the scariest people. You know why we're the scariest people? Because we know everything.
We know things. I got started. I got an internship my last summer in college under the DoD to do intelligence analysis, and I came in with a Middle East studies degree, and then they were like, we're going to teach you binary and subnets now. Yeah. And like, I was ready. If I wasn't a broke college student, I would have been like, I'm out. Like, I'm not. This is not my jam. So I got hired back on full time. I spent 10 years with the DoD, and I'm just now playing around in the private intel space, which is really interesting.
I always want to ask everybody in a roundabout way. So so most of the folks that come and sit and have coffee with us and just chit chat back and forth for a while, they all are involved in some way or another in information security or cybersecurity, however you prefer. We're not going to debate it though, like whatever you want to call. But for people that, general populace. So like not everybody in your life, Meagan, is in InfoSec, right?
Right.
So how have you ever found yourself struggling to explain what it is that you do and why it matters?
Yes. I think my favorite description so far was to my 10-year-old niece. And I think I said something like, the bad people on the internet that your mom tells you about. She's like, yes. Like, I help find the bad people. And Like that's a pretty good meltdown of it. But yeah, I spent a lot of time just saying I was an executive assistant or something whenever I would come home and I didn't know how to describe my job / couldn't describe my job. Just like, oh, my job's boring. I don't want to talk about it. It's fine. And then I switched over and like had to post stuff on my LinkedIn, and my family found out. It was a whole thing.
My family found out. Yeah, it's funny to see the look on their face whenever you start to really, because right to you and Levi too, right, and Will definitely and some right, but I don't think Will spends near. I mean, I know you're hanging out there a little bit in the dark webs, and all the places where threat intelligence feeds may be coming in, but well, I've seen your wall, Will.
I'm just a little old teacher.
Right, to y'all, this is not an intimidating atmosphere because you happen to have a baseline understanding of what it is that is actually going on and how that works, and it's like a level of acceptance of the reality of human society and human nature that you just readily kind of not okay with, but just like it, you know what I mean? It's an accepted part of your life. You're like, this is what I do, and this is why I do it, and this is why it matters, and that's okay. To other people, whenever you say stuff like that, they're like, wow, so like, like all the crazy, like you probably wear a tinfoil hat because you see all the stuff that goes on and in the underbelly and all this stuff, and then look how like just happy and friendly you are.
Yeah, I found, my mom reminded me of a picture I sent her. I did a few deployments during my time with the DoD, and I, again, would just tell her my job's boring. It's fine. I just go overseas. No big deal. And then I had sent my mom a picture of me like in the gun vest, like with a Glock, like on the gun range from Iraq. And I posted it, and everyone's like, I didn't think you did cool stuff, but now I have an idea. Like, okay, so I'm cool now that I hold a gun, but when you don't understand my job, not so much.
Right. I always, anybody that comes to me, they're like, so what is, I want to find a career in cybersecurity. I'm all gung ho. And I'm like, well, that's a big place to be. What are you thinking? Like what direction kind of? And threat intelligence comes up quite a bit. And, I'm always like, awesome. So that's, going to be like Inspector Gadget. That's what I always correlate it to because I'm a cartoon person. Like, but maybe, so stop thinking of people that, gather this sort of data and intel as some creepy leather gloves. Nobody can type with leather gloves. Get over it. And the only reason we wear hoodies is because it's real cold in data centers. Okay, that's it.
I had so many fingerless gloves from my old job.
I have typed with leather gloves though, so speak for yourself, Rachel.
Oh, okay. She does. Yeah, that's a thing. Sorry. So, I mean, we're normal. Well, I mean, as normal sucks, but we're not that. We're not the thing. We're not the stereotype. Right?
I might kind of be. I have literally 70 black hoodies in my closet right now.
I'm trying to like.
I'm not helping you. I'm only talking about myself, though.
But not everybody.
You're normal.
I am not normal. I'm just real good at slapping some makeup on. I'm not normal at all. It is highly irregular. I'm disastrous most days, definitely.
When I was gonna say when I went private, I was like, I need like normal hair because I had like purple and blue hair. I don't know. At the agency, people were like, "You have colored hair. You know what you're talking about." I'm like, yeah, exactly. So then I came private. Yeah. It took me about a year, but then I was like, I'm going back to purple. Like I just can't do this anymore.
I had to do something similar, and they told me I couldn't have colored hair, and I shaved my head. That was my response.
Hey,
I was like, if I can't have colored hair, I don't have hair now.
Well, that's what Will did. He was like, I can't have colored hair, so he just shaved it.
Will and I, we would have been twins. You wouldn't have been able to tell us apart.
That's exactly
I really didn't have much of a choice.
We were helping you. We were helping and you threw it away.
Mine just kind of went all backwards.
It was running away from the people who said you couldn't have colored hair.
Oh my gosh.
I see Alethea heart Levy, but that's not no accurate.
So what I mean, how long have you been with Flashpoint, right? So now you're out of the DoD and into
coming up on about 2.5 years.
Very
now.
cool.
So I'm still learning. There's still like businessy acronyms I have to like Google on the side. Like, what are we talking about? Like, let me figure this out. Yeah, like military acronyms, all that stuff. Finally got comfortable with it after 10 years, and now it's like a whole new world of acronyms, basically.
It is. So if anybody ever feels like I should know these things and I don't need to Google all these acronyms, no, we still Google stuff. Yeah. Somebody came. There was some acronym that I wasn't sure of, and I had to have them break it down. I felt real dumb. I'm not gonna lie. I felt dumb. I was like, "What's that mean?" And they broke it down, and I was like, "Oh."
There's definitely been meetings where I like write it in the corner of my page. I'm like, I'm just gonna nod, and then I'll look it up later. It'll be fine.
I was actually really proud. Our team's executive assistant. They weren't quite sure of what was it? I think it was AFK. It was AFK, right? And I was like, I know what AFK means. And I had to think back about when it was that I learned what AFK was, and it was gaming. It was gaming.
Knowing what you do now for work, I hope you know what AFK is.
Yeah, I did. But they messaged like in our channel, and they were like, all these acronyms, I don't know what any of this means, because somebody was like AFK, right? And I tried really hard. I hope it came off that way, but I tried really hard not to be like, lol, you don't know what that means, noob. But I tried to be like actually helpful, and I was really proud of myself, you guys. I was really proud, because I was like, you know what, that's not fair, because I didn't know what that other acronym was the other day, and they totally helped me out when I was struggling. And so I'm always worried that like I'm not doing that weird thing where if you answer a question, they're like, I already knew what it meant. I was just, you know what I mean?
Testing you.
Right? Yeah. Like,
you don't
like
know.
Somehow offend them by answering a question. I'm like, oh, sorry.
I had bosses like that in the government. They would like ask me a question. I'm like, I mean, this is kind of basic, but I can explain it to you. It's like, I just wanted to make sure you knew. I'm like, no, you made it to like a government CS-15 and had no idea what we were talking about.
Well, working with the government, right? When you came on, didn't they like issue posters with all the different acronyms?
There was literally like internal wikis devoted to all the acronyms, and so like anytime I met a newbie coming on, I was just like, you're gonna need this. And then to get around all the buildings were a labyrinth, and so like there was like a room finder that someone helpfully made, so I would send them the acronym list and the room finder. Like, you'll do fine. You'll be fine.
That right there, that should be part of the welcome wagon. You guys, the other day, it was yesterday. Look, I don't know. Right now, I'm just going to tell you, okay, Rachel's current role, getting my feet up under me, like learning my way around. One, somebody should be making an acronym list and put an internal wiki. That's an idea I'm taking home with me, okay? And then we're all virtual, but like the same concept of like a room locator. Just like this is where you find subject matter X. Like, just needs to be. Anyway, I'll work on that. But I got fun gifts the other day. Look, and your list should have been in there in my box, but I dumped it upside down, and there was nothing else. And I was like, "This is where my water goes." Achievement unlocked. Like, that's it. I got a bunch of other stuff too, but it was nice. That was so nice. I mean, how important is stuff like that though? Just to like welcome people into a new team. Like, high five, Meagan.
Yeah, it it's a hard place, especially if you don't have like mentors and stuff, because it's so big, working for a government agency. So anyone I met, I'm like, if you're new, like, I got you. Don't worry. Like, ask me questions.
I love that. Did was that just something you just did, or was that like a cultural thing that, like, you know what I mean? Like there's often that culture you find in teams where you feel like you're inspired by. Did somebody share something similar with you whenever you joined? I guess is the core of the question.
Yeah. So where I worked, we're a little more famous for like people who talk to their shoes or like touch walls as they're walking and like just don't like do whatever they can to like avoid people and talking. And so I always felt like I'm not an extrovert by any means, but I am like friendly and can like carry on a conversation, without like running away. And so I was just like, well, no one else, like everyone else stayed at their desk when the boss welcomed them to the office. So like, I'm gonna go, I guess, and help them out. And then I did a couple like formal mentorship things with summer intern programs and stuff. But yeah, it just kind of stuck. Like once I had all the stuff compiled, I'm like, I have it all. You might as well share it.
So we just totally threw Megan under a bus right there. Look, for anybody looking for a friend,
Hey,
Megan
I'll
is
help out.
friend.
So
No,
He's way friendlier than I am, so it's definitely a better choice.
I don't know if that's true. I think yours is just a different flavor and it's spicy.
That's fair.
Spicy friendship.
so
I like it.
I always like to kind of take things from the student perspective, right? So when you got going in the industry, what were some of your biggest hurdles? What was challenging and hard, and how was it trying to get adjusted into that world and learn that world?
Yeah, no, good question. I think a lot of it was I worked in an organization that was, I think, over 50% military, and I was coming in as a civilian. So a lot of people my age, but also people who had already been, I don't want to say indoctrinated, but people who already had the culture down from like boot camp and everything that they had to do. And so like learning that, but I think that kind of fits with learning the culture in any company that you come into. Everything's going to be different. I've been really lucky kind of living that, I don't know, startup life of a very open, friendly company. And I think we had a little over 100 employees when I joined. We've grown since, but yeah, still just kind of learning the culture and learning the bounds of like what's expected of you versus like where you can kind of personally succeed in a way, like just trying to navigate what's going to work best for you in the organization and how you can best kind of fit in and give whatever like special skills you have. I don't know, that was always hard. And I think it's kind of the same, even though like programs like yours exist now. I mean, anything's going to be different when you go into a work environment. And like I said, I came in with a Middle East Studies degree. So basically I knew like the politics of Sunni and Shia and typically ended up explaining that to all of my colleagues. But I mean, my degree basically taught me to write well on deadline. So I was a really good reporter, but I wasn't going back to my college textbooks of like Mesopotamia in the like 1500s. It wasn't necessary.
I'm so surprised.
Yeah, it's
Why
so
not?
weird. It helped me on Jeopardy though. but yeah, I think it's going to be an adjustment no matter where you go. So I think just kind of embracing, okay, like I'm not using my degree, but I do have this core skill set that I didn't have before college, or I didn't have before the program I did. So just kind of embracing that and kind of seeing where you can go from there. But yeah, writing well on deadline will never hurt you. So I was a huge paper procrastinator.
How about developing in the threat intel skill set?
Yeah. I mean, that was like insane to me, because all of a sudden I was thrust into classes where you're learning about, I worked kind of signals intelligence. So I'm learning about communications methods, IPs, how I'm learning both old and new communications methods. Just trying to navigate all that. It was kind of like drinking from a fire hose, but I loved it because they obviously want something underlying for my skill set or they wouldn't have hired me. And so I'm just going to drink all of this in. And now I can talk about like landline switches, which is an entirely weird thing to know about. Again, Jeopardy, helpful. But but it's just kind of you're going to have to learn a bunch of new stuff anyways. So just kind of embracing the boot camp, I guess.
We have a question here from our YouTube channel. Okay, so if you guys are watching this from someplace that's not YouTube or whatever, this is going across 5 different platforms, and you can ask questions in some of them and not all of them. But we do that so that you're able to hang out where you feel most comfortable, because a lot of people in InfoSec either greatly value their privacy more than anybody else on the planet. But anyway, that's why. So there's going to be things that pop up. So what advice do you, Meagan, have for someone just starting out that is interested in working in threat intel? And I am really glad this question popped up. And I also think it would be great for Levi to answer it too. And then Will's got this. This applies to everybody, but I would love to hear Meagan first.
Thanks.
Harley might have an answer also. I'll ask her.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of it is just kind of knowing what's out there. So I think if someone's already doing the basic research of what kind of jobs, if I'm interested in intelligence, what can I do? I didn't even know, I was fortunate my Arabic professor in college was a retired Air Force intelligence officer. And so when I told him like, hey, I'm just looking for internships, he mentioned agencies I had never heard of to go look up and apply for internships. And so, yeah, I think just the research and knowing what's out there, kind of picking the brain, like stuff like this, like picking the brain of people who have been in it. I think that's huge. Also, if you want to go into the secure space, you have all the little things of like weed may be legal in your state, but it's not federally legal. So you may run into issues, stuff like that. That's what I would always tell kind of the younger people I talk to. Like, I know you live in Colorado, but you may have an issue when you try to get a job here. And so, yeah, just kind of knowing, I guess, just knowing what you're looking for and, yeah, just kind of reaching out for every opportunity that comes across. I applied for every single internship I could get a hold of and ended up getting accepted into one, which led to my career. So I think just, yeah, being persistent and just grabbing any of those resources as they come along.
That's awesome. Levi, how did you get started? I don't think I've actually, or you probably have answered this in some.
I actually don't think I have.
I don't think you have. That's why I'm excited. I'm like, oh.
Is Ben here? Is he gonna heckle me again? So I mentioned last week my backup plans. I have like a twofold way I got into this. One of them's kind of similar to Megan's. If we're focused only on threat intel, I originally was going into forensic science to do forensic pathology and just hang out with a bunch of dead people all the time because they're pretty chill. Usually they're on ice, so they're really chill.
It's like they're pretty chill. I don't know.
But I personally got really sick and was hospitalized on and off for over a year and ended up needing to be able to take like classes from a hospital room. So I couldn't really keep up with labs, which meant the forensics was a little bit on pause, right?
Yeah.
But I always loved research. And that would be my piece of advice for someone wanting to get into this field is finding a love for research in one way or the other, because it's a lot of that. And so what I did is I finished a different degree just to get it done so I wasn't stressed about it. I, at the time, was a triple major, and I just finished one of them real quick. And then I started a master's degree in national security, information security, which is the fancy way of saying cybersecurity and information collection, where I worked as a research aide and a teacher aide, and I helped teach classes and I helped do research. And some of the research I did was for an ex-CIA agent so that was my connection. And for him in his lab, I researched interrogation techniques and how to use certain specialized tools that could be used by whomever would need them, I guess. That's the best summary I can give on that one. So that's kind of how I got into specifically the intelligence research space from the government side, which is why I was excited to meet Meagan, because like I said, I've done some similar stuff. As far as my specialty that most people know me for, which is the darknet, I logged on to the darknet when I was like 11 and I never left. So so that kind of fueled my love of research and my love of lurking around and collecting information and creating personas and all these little spider web things that I do. And that was always just like a pastime. I did a lot of volunteering and I taught some classes when I was a TA on darknet investigations. But I never actually had planned to go into a career with it. I did use it for research. At the time, I was really big on anti-human trafficking stuff, so that's what I went into. So kind of like what I've echoed a few weeks now, in that one is research, the other one is find your passion and just go for it, because you're always going to know more and learn more faster in that capacity. And then at some point, the two just kind of merged, and here we are. Harley's still asleep, so she doesn't have an answer for the question. Big stretches, though.
Oh my gosh.
You're muted right now, Rachel, I think. She's not talking to us.
She's talking, but we know.
Not to us.
I was muted. So
Quick,
Will, there's lots of resonating things in each one of their stories that, you know, kind of relate back to the program that you guys have started up. By the way, Jonathan Kimmett. I know he's good at he's starting to do the thing that I was so excited about. So look, when I first started this and met Will, the concept of what Will was doing with the program at the college was like, I was like, I could have used this. I could have used this whole concept. It's open to the public, you guys. Like, people could just walk in off of the streets. I mean, don't look like a, you know, complete, like, you got to wear shoes and a shirt, right? Like, there's some qualifications, but like, they just walk in and go and like look and ask questions and like play with stuff and do stuff, and it's amazing. And Jonathan Kimmett is looking into doing something very similar. He's the CISO for the University of Tulsa, a friend, and I'm so excited. I got all verklempt the other day. I was like, sorry, that was probably decibels higher than anybody.
Yeah, I need that in my life, Rachel. Thank you so much.
This is why nobody else wears headphones. Now you've learned the lesson.
Do you want to hear the wolf run around trying to get the kittens to play with her? No, you don't.
Mine's taking a nap.
Aww.
On my message.
I don't even know where mine is, and that's a concern.
He's super spoiled. So we've got a few more. I'm sorry, Will. Did you have?
You made a thing about Will having to answer, and you're going to ignore him?
No, I'm not. I'm like, go ahead, Will.
Drink more coffee. Go, Will.
What do you want from me?
How do we do the threat thing?
So it's like, right, they got interested and we're you know, kind of checking it out and doing stuff. But you guys have basically taken what each one of their personal journeys are and created an atmosphere that's, you know, right? I don't know about you guys, but I felt like I got here almost by accident. You know what I mean? There was nobody in any high school counseling career, nothing, career center at school, like higher education, none of that. I got none of that. I had no idea, right?
Right.
The only way,
So, in the academic world, right, we're bringing in folks, and a lot of the folks that come in are absolutely green, just learning how to use computers and things like that, and all the way to folks that are coming in and wanting to really develop good skills. And we have to take on that responsibility to help provide an opportunity for folks, as well as teach ethics, as well as to help teach law, how to keep people safe. But we have to provide an environment where they can explore and learn and fail, right? That's the beauty of the Arizona Cyber Warfare Range, is no classes are held there. That's just a place where you can go and learn, fail, so you can set up. I love our students, man. Right, so we've got students in there producing nice hazy pictures of monitors by bringing the antennas real close to the cables, and as well as, you know, I think I sent you the other day, Rachel, didn't I? That you walk in, they've got a hack RF box and Yagi antenna going, you know, and and you have to walk over every once in a while and say, guys, let's tone down. Wait, let's stay legal, okay?
No. Just like the debates in the Discord, which are my favorite thing now.
I know.
Oh, yeah. Levi's been hanging out in the Discord and seeing how crazy
nobody knows who I am, and it's so funny.
That's great. I love it. Hiding
but
behind
it's awesome. And so what that brings me to, Meagan, is if you were to explain to a student who's getting into the industry, how would you describe threat intelligence? How do you describe what you do day by day?
Yeah, so I think I came to it from the more the more threat intel side than the technical side. So at least when it comes to threat intelligence, it's just that no piece of information should be taken for granted. Essentially, you are gathering all kinds of information you can, whether it's about a network or whether it's about a person and how they operate. Are they online all the time at 2 a.m.? Who are they talking to? Do they use a different username when they talk to other people? That kind of stuff. All of those little puzzle pieces that can be easily overlooked. I feel like threat intelligence is focused on kind of going after those puzzle pieces. And I think someone mentioned, Levi, I think you mentioned kind of research and going down the rabbit hole. Like, I feel like you have to love going
I live
down
in the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I live there.
Yeah, I feel like if you love research and you love finding answers, I think that's where threat intelligence is really kind of the path for someone.
I'm like, I'm so interested because I do that. I definitely for different purposes. Like, I'm not trying to figure out if somebody's a threat or not. I'm just trying.
Everyone is. That's the secret to that question is yes.
Oh yeah. Oh, me online dating before I met my husband. I was like, I know the college they went to. I have a picture of their rugby team. Like, I know where he grew up. Like, I got it all.
Mm-hmm.
So you see a puzzle, you want to solve it.
Yeah. That's why when I stream on Twitch, I stream puzzle games. I came Oh, sorry, Rachel. I was going to say I kind of came from the opposite side of Meagan in that I've come from more of a technical background. In that, like, as I kept studying, I started going deeper and deeper into the more technical side. But it was really like the research is that key. I think that ties the two sides. And they're both really important. So if anybody also who's looking for a threat intel team, please have both at least. Because you so need both.
We've got a few more questions here. This one isn't appearing. I know. John from LinkedIn, what are your favorite news sources for the cybersecurity industry? And I think that actually feeds very nicely into what Jonathan Kimmett is asking too. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So my quick response is, what's your goal? What do you want to know? Because if you want to know about the dark web, then no.
That's a different class, and Levi charges.
I do have a class for that.
But seriously though, if you guys want to go follow Levi's Twitch, they do Python. I'm not good at Python. I'll let you say Python.
I may have to join your Python. I need a major refresher.
Yeah.
Hey, Jonathan, an awesome source.
It is.
Is the Arizona Cyber Warfare Range forums. on the forums, he has things that will call and pull articles all over the place and put them into different categories for you.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of really good information on the forums.azcwr.org.
Put the link, drop the link, drop the link.
Put it in the LinkedIn, Will. And look, for anybody that's like, wow, that sounds like a lot of gathering of threat intel and information and data. This show is never sponsored. It's still not sponsored, but I'm just saying Meagan might work for some people that can help too. I'm just saying.
Hey, I'm learning the sales side. I can pitch sponsorships.
No.
No, we refuse to be sponsored.
No, we're too crazy.
Because I feel like somebody's gonna be mad if I say something wrong. So I can't live up to those expectations. It's just not gonna happen. And until then, it's just this is my therapy. Okay, this is my weekly therapy.
Drop Will's link so people can find it, Rachel.
I'm writing this link down.
I just put it in the chat, so hopefully.
I know, but Rachel's got to pop it up because everybody's like, "What's the link? What's the link?" There's a lot of really good ones. My joke about what you're asking for was not as much of a joke. It really kind of depends on what you're looking for and what industry you're in. If you're looking for something in the academic industry, you're going to have different people or groups targeting you than you are in retail or in pharmaceuticals or in the government. And it kind of depends on how you're muted again. And it kind of depends on how deep into the rabbit hole you're getting and where you're looking. For dark web stuff, for example, there's a lot of places that claim to have data that tends to be really stale, that somebody who doesn't live there might not realize is as stale. So it might seem useful to other people. Whereas some of the best types of intelligence aren't going to be necessarily from vendors. They might be from Twitter, weirdly enough, because people are just posting their research or what they've identified. And when you get to stuff like that, like open source intelligence, which is very important, what you need to be able to do is figure out how to verify it. And that's where, again, that research component comes in and understanding that workflow. So I highly recommend, if you don't, avoiding vendors just for the sake of money for a moment, and for people who might be starting and not in a company yet that has that resource. There's a thing called Feedly, which will gather news sources across the interwebs. You can set up a dashboard in Twitter with specific hashtags that'll help you identify threat intel that you're looking for. The threat intel hashtag itself tends to be a little cluttered with CVEs, but you do you.
Write that down. Feedly. FEEDLY. They also have paid levels of
stuff. They do have paid, but even the free one is pretty good for starting off.
Yeah.
And they can gear it towards threat intelligence. And then there's places where you can get, like, there's a book that PACT has on threat intelligence and threat hunting that I think gives a good base rundown of threat intel, because it's hard to get trained in threat intelligence outside of spending $1 bajillion at like SANS or something, because a lot of universities don't teach threat intelligence. A lot of schools don't. And if you're not going to university, then the resources are even more sparse. So if you want a base rundown, I would start with something like that. And keep in mind that threat intelligence is not cyber specific. So don't just look up cyber threat intelligence, because the foundations to how to go through intelligence really come from the intelligence life cycle, of which there are different ones in different countries. I personally prefer the British one. What is your favorite intelligence cycle, Meagan?
Trying to think. I remember, so I stuck to, we had a little book that they gave us. It was this purple book of how to do intelligence analysis, and it had this life cycle. I still have it on one of these bookshelves, and it was my Bible.
Yep.
Tells you, and it's that threat intelligence. It's basic research principles, building off of that. Yeah, it's definitely doesn't have to specifically be cyber. I was doing stuff against terrorists for 5 years before I even moved into cyber. So
And that's where things like languages help, right?
exactly.
I was researching ideologies and movements of terrorist organizations.
Yeah.
And language barrier, because of the languages I know, Arabic, not one of them, and that was my primary focus. So
Yeah, mine was rough, but yeah, I found a lot of friends that spoke it very well.
very cool. That's what I did.
Yeah.
I went to that department. I was like, "Hi, can we be best friends?"
Yeah, my husband's a Farsi linguist, or was. He claims he's forgotten it, but I still throw stuff out from time to time.
My stepbrother was in the National Guard whenever everybody was called to Iraq, and that was what he did. He was a Farsi and he also, I think, claims to mostly have forgotten it now, but yeah, it was.
It's not used. It can get rusty, because that's what me with some of my languages. I have to go back and remember them. But just throw them in the middle of a conversation, and usually that'll spark it.
I think he'd float. If that happened.
We have another question from Levi's favorite, Ben.
He's a heckler.
What's the biggest change doing threat intel from the DoD into a corporate space? Or is there a change, or does it feel like it's exactly the same?
Yeah, I feel like so some of the big changes are kind of just personally, like the government is a huge organization to work for. People aren't always looking out for you. They're looking out for their own promotions and things like that. I could go into a whole podcast about bureaucracy.
That's not necessarily different.
Right. Not necessarily different, but it's just such a huge organization, and the way it moves, it takes time. And then I move over to this private company, and like the CEO himself interviewed me during my interview. It's a small company. You already know who the leadership is. They're not completely out of reach for you. So those kind of like personal aspects of just feeling more valued as an individual employee. From the intel aspect, the ability to move quickly is huge. It's really hard. It's steering a battleship versus steering a jet ski. Like the jet ski is going to be a little more agile to add in those collection sources, or to pivot and maybe change their strategy on something because say a certain comms site went down, everyone moved to another one. They're just going to be quicker. And I think I started getting not necessarily jaded, but towards the end I worked in kind of a dual-hatted, both intelligence but also information assurance company organization. And working in that, we had a lot more insight into kind of the corporate world, helping them be protected, and them also giving us information. And we've paid a lot more attention to like cyber news. We weren't as deep in our rabbit holes doing research on something no one has ever heard of, and kind of doing that and seeing the information that was coming in from private companies was just mind-blowing. And so the ability, I have a window, I'm wearing my Apple Watch, like I can text my mom in the middle of the day. I don't have to be shut up in a room with no windows for the rest of my life just to work intelligence. I never thought I'd be able to move back home. I lived in DC. I thought that was the only place I could work intelligence, and now I'm working it from my home office. So it's been, I'd say, huge positive life change, but that government experience, the classes they give you, everything like that, it's really hard to beat that. Yeah, like you're saying, Levi, like those classes, it's hard to get trained in threat intelligence. Oh, yeah. And so they definitely put that time and that investment into me. And obviously I took advantage of every opportunity I had. But yeah, I think as a life change, I've really enjoyed moving to the corporate space. And just from an intel focus, I know there's stuff I'm never going to be able to work again. And that's kind of sad because I don't have my clearance anymore. But knowing that I'm able to quickly pivot and work on something that happened yesterday, or work with a company that's going to have a webinar about something that happened last night, just being able to see that agility is huge.
Oh, yeah. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
Yeah.
That's something I really always like, the agility that I find working in certain teams versus others. So, previous life, I was always exposed constantly to different size teams and organizations that did different things. And I felt that I could empathize deeply with the people that were part of teams where processes took so long to get anything done at all. And I'm not talking just like, oh, you want to do this one little inch of movement with a program, like a couple of days versus a couple of weeks. A lot of places like like 18 months, right? Was a situation that was not everybody was like, why was it take that? No, they just automatically understood. 18 months, that's normal.
You should try academia.
Don't make me regret my decision, Will.
Oh, well, Chris is working to handle that.
We're already on a delayed schedule.
I may have offered our support to Jonathan as he builds what he's building. So just saying, if Jonathan Kimmett from the University of Tulsa pings you, please help a friend.
Ping me. I'm ready to ruin the youth. That's fine.
He has an open invitation to come out and tour.
Yes, it's really pretty. Okay, it's like so pretty. You have no idea. It was the same feeling I got whenever I was choosing my higher education institution, because that's what you did as soon as you got out of college in the early 2000s. Or not out of college, out of high school at that point. And I figured out that just was not my path, you guys. Okay, I just can't live in that structured environment. I'm in awe of anybody that can, and that's another reason why I'm always like, Will, you have no idea how bad I needed this in my life, because it's more of an exploratory, education process rather than this is what we're doing, and this is when we're going to do it, and this is how long we're going to spend on it. Like, I can't do that. Like, I have to. No, it's not. My brain does not function like that. But the campus at the University of Tulsa is so gorgeous. I felt that way whenever I walked across the campus at LSU here. I'm in Baton Rouge, for people that don't know. I'm like outside of it. It's like every movie you've ever seen where there's a college campus involved, and it's like these beautiful, like just very charming buildings, and they have a lot of character and like history and stuff, and you're just like, oh, this is what university feels like. Like, it's very stately. I don't know how else to. I think that's accurate. One of those. Lemme, what'd you put in here? What is this tweet deck? What are you giving me? Should I be sharing this other places?
What? Oh, I was putting that in the chat. I was giving you all of the things I mentioned. Somebody was like, please post all of the links. So I did.
Yeah. Look, and you know what's bad is we're gonna have to collect all of these and then post it later. Did you do? I already
posted it. You're not paying attention, Rachel.
Oh my gosh.
So Chris brings up a really good question. What is the biggest roadblock to convincing companies to share threat intel on a national level?
Oh.
Besides lawyers, right?
Oh no.
Dollar bills.
Yeah, I haven't worked this level. I worked from national level down, but not as much sharing up. But I know, like, we particularly partner with a lot of like the ISACs and groups like that, and sharing information on that level. But yeah, I think on the corporate side, you still run into that, like, money, we have to pay for it somehow, things like that. So yeah, I'd be interested in any experience y'all have with kind of trying to share up.
That's usually how it goes. It's a lot of ISACs. It's a lot of those professional organizations or like InfoGuard, things like that, where you're partnering with larger and larger groups until it ends up getting released. And by the time it's released, it's more anonymous. And that's kind of the point there. Mm-hmm. Most companies don't want to release something publicly unless it actually affects them in that way. Like if they were breached, and in which case they don't want to, which, side note, if you actually talk about being breached, people will trust you again faster than if you hide it. It's shocking. So
weird how that works.
Weird how being honest works. So
well, then
go on, Will.
Then there's that other part in those communities where defining, I think, sharing threat information, right?
Yes.
Because a lot of those places sharing security information is, let's have a meeting and sit around and have food. And boy, isn't this a great sharing of information.
This gets into another part of threat intel that we don't actually talk about much. Threat intel itself isn't talked about nearly as much as it needs to be as a specialty, and then the subspecialties within it. But a big part of this is, how do you disseminate information and to what types of audiences, and how is that classified? And people don't talk about this part, and it's the most constrained part in methodology, because what you're going to tell somebody who's sitting behind a firewall, putting in blocks and knowing the technical aspects of the network and how to work on that, versus what you're going to talk about to a C-suite level person who just needs to know why they're putting so much money into your department, is entirely different. You'll be telling them the exact same thing, but the way you do it is so different. And that applies even further to those organizations and disclosing of information, because at that point, you have to know how to properly anonymize your information while still being relevant enough that it is important to share. And that is a skill in and of itself.
Yeah. And I'll say I worked that again from that national level down. I taught our intelligence reporting classes. And it's not just like, obviously the bottom line is what can trickle down to the CISOs so they know what's going on, and their sysadmins. But even teaching people, like, your first 3 sentences of an intelligence report is probably all say a policymaker is going to read. Maybe one of his underlings will read the whole thing, but if you're lucky, they'll only read the first 3 sentences. And so even like, you have to write this part entirely different from this part, entirely different from this part, and it's 5 different classification levels depending on what you say.
Absolutely.
And it's a beast.
That's a whole nother part of threat intel we never talk about in screen.
Yeah.
I try to talk about that all the time whenever somebody's like threat intel. I'm like, this part that you don't want to talk about is what we're going to talk about today.
This is the horrible part.
I love it. I like it.
For anybody watching this that is interested in threat intelligence, and I'm or already working in it and looking for a change, we have like 2 or 3 openings right now on my team. I'm so excited. And going through, Levi actually helped me, because I am not even going to be like, I am someone so amazing that I can ask insightful questions of a threat intelligence analysis. No, I asked Levi to help me. And we talked through it, because that's how I learn. I'm a conversational learner. Okay.
I was like, you want to get on a call? And I immediately got a phone call. I was like, oh, okay.
I want to make sure that I'm asking insightful questions, right?
Yeah, that's important.
Because we're gonna, I was part of one of the interviewing panels for somebody, and I want to know stuff that's gonna pertain to just like the higher level goals of our team, right? Like, what are your communication skills like? Back to reporting styles and being able to discern, right? What team is gonna find what part of the job that you're doing the most impactful, and how are you going to communicate that to that team, right? Well, how are you going to work with them?
How about hiring a hiring consultant, where you can bring somebody like Levi's skill in your area when you do the hiring? If you're doing the interviews, have somebody there who knows exactly how to separate the wheat from the chaff.
Well, see, that's why we do a whole panel, right? Because there's already existing genius level folks on my team.
I'm just throwing that out there to the world.
Like, the level, you guys, it is mind blowing on a daily basis. The level of talent that I've been given an opportunity to work with, and I'm gonna get all like, look, this is not me kissing you guys' butts either. So don't come after me later in our little side chat conversations talking about how Rachel's just whatever. Trying to make your head.
I'm going to do it immediately when we shut the call. I'm doing. I'm going to message you and I'm going to be like, Rachel, you're doing this, this, and this.
No, it's not that. They really are. And I'm like, as I started getting into the company, I'm doing the tour and I'm like meeting everybody one by one and doing all these things. And it's just, I'm like, oh my gosh, the level of freaking amazing and beautiful that your brain is right now. You have no idea. I'm so excited. I want to help you do all the things. Like, Yes, whatever you're trying to do. Or we're doing world domination? Yes, let's do that. And then,
That's my plan for the weekend, Rachel. You weren't supposed to tell everybody.
and then this is why I need management on my own, because I should not be left to my own devices completely. Like a little, yeah, I don't do well under micromanaged situations, but somebody needs to come in and go, all right, now calm down. You're too excited. Because I'm about it. So we are looking for those positions here as well. And back to Megan's point about reporting styles and just basic communication and making sure that that's articulated in a way and everything else, that's going to be so important, especially if I'm the one sitting on the other side of the interviewing panel. Okay. Because I'm going to be like, I need you to be able to have a
I
conversation.
didn't realize when you had called me, I didn't realize that you were doing that day.
Oh yeah, it was that day.
And I was writing up on the side a whole list of questions to send to you. I'll send to you anyway for the future ones that are about this, because depending on at what level you're hiring, if you can't do this, you either need to learn real fast or you're not at a certain level within threat intel, because that should be an expectation that you can disseminate information that way. Documentation is so important.
Well, the questions that I needed to ask were more about how, getting some insight into kind of their collaboration style, and if it matched the style of the teams that are already here, and that sort of thing. So just kind of going over some of those questions was,
Sorry, I like Ben's question.
Oh, what was Ben's question?
When are we going to hear about securing online gaming? I don't know that we have time today when we have 3 minutes left to this to answer that question, but I'm a big fan.
And Will also has a hard stop. So look, we're gonna have to come back to some of this stuff. Ben, chill out. Why you gotta ask? Why you gotta open a can of worms?
I love that question. We
Like,
could do a whole
really?
episode on just that question. It's a good one.
Really? Just
good question,
oh.
Ben. You've redeemed yourself in my eyes.
Oh, that came out with a New York accent.
Oh my gosh. So we're going to be wrapping up here, and I'm going to be flashing some things across the bottom of the screen so you guys can look out and come chat with us again next week. It's going to be fun. It's always fun. It's always fun. You always learn stuff, linky things, all the things happen. So that one, and then this one.
Ben's starting to heckle
and
again.
then Ben, quit heckling. And then
now it's you, it's not me.
And then the title with Megan. Megan, thank you for letting us dominate your conversation.
We gave her the first half. That was more than most a good skit.
It was really good.
It's rare I run into people I can nerd out about Intel with that I don't work with on a daily basis. So it's always
my friend. I need more Intel friends.
Yes, definitely.
Sometimes I find myself hitting these roadblocks whenever I talk to my inner circle of friends that have no idea what it is that I do or anyone that I work with does, or they, you know what I mean? They have no concept. They're like, Rachel does weird stuff. Just don't ask. And if
that's a fact.
If I have one too many drinks, you're going to understand the depth of my freaking connect the dots on all of these mass conspiracy theories. I'm and this is why it's not a conspiracy theory, because I validate my but it's not fun to be my friend if you're not in InfoSec. I don't think.
This is why I don't drink, so all the conspiracy theories I can just record for when you're sober later.
That's so
my favorite was when I worked in operations. I'd say I work on the things that make the largest number of people angry in the shortest period of time.
It's so true, though. It's so true. And I really get excited whenever I come across people that they're in these positions or roles that are so relatable. Megan, we would be best friends. We are best friends now.
Yes.
And I'm just saying,
you're friends.
That's how that works.
This is literally how Rachel works.
It is.
That's for me.
That's it. Yeah,
a 10-hour drive away.
That's not that far. I will show up. Don't tempt me. Ask Will. It happened.
It was awesome.
I mean, I'm totally polite when I get there. It's not creepy at all. But anyway, no, but threat. Most people consider threat intelligence to be these very creepy folks. And look how lovely you are. You're just a lovely personality, helpful with your list of acronyms and your building locations and collaborative spirit and all the things. And plus, I like the folks at Flashpoint. You guys are good guys, and they won the lottery with you. I hope they know that.
Thank you.
They probably do know that. And yeah, so that's my closing thoughts. I'm gonna let everybody else do it, and then I'm gonna say bye at the end and push a button that says end.
Thank you so much, Meagan, for coming on board. I mean, awesome. And for that perspective. And it was really cool, the conversation that popped up in this. Well done, folks.
Sorry.
Honey, you got anything?
I was going to let Meagan talk. What she wants to say?
Well, I was going to let her close it out. You saved them.
Oh, fine. Okay, whatever. This was fun. I always enjoy when we do it, someone else in Threat Intel, because then I get to kick out Will and just talk about Threat Intel stuff specifically, which is why I stay quiet in the beginning so Will could talk. So I'm always excited about that, and how people kind of interact with these topics. So I'm glad you were able to join us. I'm glad we didn't have to really focus in on any particular thing, and we got to jump around and hopefully help some people in the chat out learn how to learn about Threat Intel.
No, it's been an awesome conversation. I was kind of nervous because Intel people I don't know how to talk to people about Intel, but it was a lot of fun, and I really do like helping people as they're starting out, just trying to break in. So please hit me up on LinkedIn. I don't know, I just like helping people out. Would love to chat with you.
We'll get you on the student Discord.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Everybody wants you. She wants you to follow her. Everybody, all whatever million people are here.
Yes, definitely. And I think you did great. What are you talking about?
Awesome.
I'm nervous. You did wonderful.
Thank you.
It was very fantastic. And I get excited about Threat Intel because I'm like, look, it's like we're normalizing my level 5 stalking capability on different social media platforms and turning it into a thing, and it's a profession.
It's a field. It's legit.
See, me checking out everybody's family history and watching how often they check into different platforms is not creepy. It's normal.
No, that's mom power, which is a whole nother level of the conversation, because moms have a very specific way of doing this.
It's not. Look, John says I'm a pro stalker. That's not what that is. That's not. I feel like
it's
stalking.
Not far off. All right.
Take it easy, guys. I got to run.
Okay, bye, Will. We love you. And I'm going to close us out. You guys come back and see us again next week. You can follow us here. Look, the biggest reason for this whole thing, the whole talks and everything else is look how cool Meagan is. Do you agree that Meagan is cool? Go network with Meagan that way. Go network with Meagan.
Bother Meagan.
That's how you do this, right? If you want to make more friends in the industry and you're not going to conferences, because who was going in the last 2 years, but people who were very courageous. I was one of them. I went. Okay, I did. It was GurCon. I had to. I couldn't say no. But that's how you do this. You go through and you look at all the fun people that are in the chat, and you message them after this little fun networking style event where you got to meet somebody super cool like Meagan and hang out with me and Levi and Will. And you great to get to know you. And you don't know, sometime next week, next month, 6 months down the road, you're going to be like, oh, I need somebody that knows stuff about Threat Intel because I have questions. Guess what? Now you know somebody. It's definitely a thing. It's a thing. Go make friends. It's not that bad, and it's not scary. Look, we're not scary, but we love you, and we'll see you next week. Everybody have a great weekend. Happy Valentine's Day. If I'm suddenly reminding you that you needed to get your significant other a gift, it's Friday afternoon. You can still run out.
If you want to learn how to make a stew out of an actual heart, you just hit me up, because that's what I'm doing in 2 hours.
Is it really? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Where's
I
your
do it
link?
every year for Valentine's Day. I make something out of a heart for the lulz, and this year it's stew.
That's fantastic. That's awesome. I'm going for a weekend away.
I got a room.
It's gonna be fun. What? Megan, what you got plans? You hanging out?
Come on over. Bring your husband. Everybody can come. It's fine.
It's 10 hours. It's only 10 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a lot farther.
We just got a puppy, so she is our life right now.
Bring her over. The wolf would love a friend.
Yeah.
That would be
Can't
super
guarantee
fun.
she'll behave when you go home, but
Oh my God. What are all these people still doing hanging out here? You guys, aren't you sick of us yet? All right, I'm gonna end it. Love you. Bye.